1st. And the records are now open. Welcome to this week's episode of Akashic Answers with Emily. I'm Emily Harrison, founder director here inside the Akashic Academy, working with visionaries and thought leaders, training you all to escape the world of ordinary thought and tap into superconscious intelligence through your Akashic records. What happens when you stay in ordinary thought? Well, you think all of the same things, meaning you think about the stress of your life, you think about your challenges, you think about what is possible for you, and you think about it from the same repetitive mind. I want to invite you to imagine what can happen in your life when you think from God mind, from superconscious intelligence. That's another name for the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records hold all information, past, present, all possible futures, recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. And the Akashic Records hold intelligence of your soul's journey through the time-space continuum. Past lives, future lives, this lifetime. And it holds a level of insight and intelligence that helps you understand yourself, what you've created here in this life, because truly everything that you're experiencing right now in your life, you have created for yourself. And sometimes we can feel like we're miscreating. Anybody feel like you got some miscreations? By the way, say hello to me once you get here. Let me know where you're tuning in from as well. I'm coming to you from the high Sierras here in Reno, Nevada, and I find this to be a really powerful way we can tap into the energy that's available here for us, and that is begin imagining pinpoints of light all over the planet as those of you who are here with me live start sharing where you're tuning in from. Play along too if you are watching the replay. Because what happens is we tap into this unity consciousness. Whew, I can feel my third eye palpitating underneath my Botox there, y'all, so you know it's strong. All right, this is when my third eye goes off like that. It's like, yes, truth. Inspire, and let's inspire the rise of consciousness. There are so many ways that we can tap into power that helps us make the changes in our life, helps us to see the patterns of miscreation, to see what is unseen in our life. And what do I mean by what is unseen? I mean, what's causing you to think and behave the way that you do. Most of us have experienced a lot of trauma, especially in this lifetime. And we are operating, meaning we think about ourselves, we think about what is possible from this trauma perspective, from playing small. We also limit ourselves so greatly because we've been programmed and have repeated patterns of lack and scarcity since we were youngins, y'all. But it's time for the change. Right now, let me bring our awareness to Lionsgate. Hi, Lady Lug from California. I'm glad that you're here. I'm joining you all from the high Sierras, Reno, Nevada. I think I said that already. All right, so California and Reno starting to make the connection here. Who else is going to join us in this connection? Right? I was heading into something there, but I forgot. Let's see. Right on, Kelly from Canada coming in. Oh, I remember this time right now, Lionsgate. Thank you, guys. Lionsgate is a particular astrological alignment that happens every year when our Earth and our solar system aligns to the solar system of Sirius. I call it a solar system. Sirius is actually a trinary star system. There's Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C. And we are in this greater galactic dance with the Sirian constellation. Sirius becomes visible over the horizon again at this time. And on August 8th, 8/8 is the peak of the Lionsgate alignment. Let's talk about the significance of Sirius for a moment. Sirius is known as our spiritual sun and a gateway into great central sun, where all of these photons of light that hold consciousness, that are waking up our DNA, that are calling us to step into our power. We're being flooded with those energies right now. And so likely what you're feeling, you could be feeling a lot of chaos. I'll be honest with y'all. This is the most challenging Lion's Gate that I've experienced in the last 5 years. Because what happens is before we move into this gateway where we are invited to step into more of our power, the shakeup begins to happen so that we can see the areas where we get to work. Not only the areas where we get to expand and accelerate, our mission, our purpose, those desires that we have to create a life of joy and meaning. Anybody want to create a life of joy and meaning? Hey, Michelle, baby, and Lindsay are here. That's awesome. And how many of you feel like you've done that in some areas, but there's other areas of your life where you're like, WTF? That also comes up for us to see right now is the areas of our life that are WTF, because there's an invitation there to understand the patterns that are at play, where we're limiting ourselves and why we're getting that result. Because if you're getting a result that makes you look at your life and go, duh, what the F? There's something about the way that you are thinking and expecting life to be and selling yourself short that causes you to play out those repetitive patterns. So if we can open up our mind and tap into super conscious intelligence, we can think about ourselves differently. We can look at ourselves differently. How our mind begins to process changes. And your mind, the thoughts that you are thinking, this is the primordial essence of what's creating the world at large that you're experiencing. And most of our thoughts are subconscious. We don't recognize that we're actually thinking them, which is why learning to think with higher mind is so important. It allows us to increase our awareness of the thoughts that we are having. And when we have more awareness of these thoughts, we can shift and change them more. All right. And when you have different thoughts about yourself, where you see your problems differently, all of a sudden the solutions will begin to emerge. All right. And that's what I am all about, is helping you all, helping myself find the unseen solutions so that we can get our way out of this matrix of oppression. And we can start creating our lives on purpose. We can get in touch with our mission and our superpowers. All right, so we're going to jam here till about 12:30, depending on what time it is in your neck of the woods. It's noon on Wednesday, my time. So we're going to jam for the next 20 minutes or so. I want to invite you all to ask questions. Let's start blowing up the chat box with your questions, areas where you feel stuck, where you want guidance. I'm going to tap into the Akashic record and bring through some intel that's designed to support us all. And also I'll channel through some activations that are going to help us during this Lion's Gate when we're really being invited to step up so much. Carly Tennants, I see you here. All right. Also want to say about your questions. If I don't answer your question live on the air, still, thank you so much for the vulnerability that it takes to ask it. Spirit, your Akashic records will answer, whether it's through me or through somebody else. So your job is just to pay attention. It might be answered through somebody else's question, but you'll have a feeling within your body of truth and, oh yeah, this is answering that question I had. It may come in a dream. It may come in a conversation that you have with somebody later. So ask the questions. Do not feel discouraged if I don't see an answer to your question here. I also try to go back after this and answer and support as many of you as possible. All right, Miss Carly, I'd love to understand why I'm not acting and performing as a living. I know it's the thing that lights me up the most. All right, Carly. So what the guides are saying is that it can be helpful to look at this through logic and through emotion, or masculine and feminine, and just break it down very simply. All right. The masculine energy, it's super simple because you haven't made the decisions and taken the steps to do that. You're giving yourself outs. And I mean, I know in a lot of ways you have taken those steps, but in terms of not giving yourself an out, really, is what they're saying. Like, you built the path to move into acting and performing as a living with so many other things that you can fall back on, or that you can step into, or that you can supplement with, that it actually causes the energy to leak out, right? It makes the human feel somewhat safe because we feel like we have something to fall back on. But the challenge from the quantum perspective is for us to be really freaking great manifestors. We got to be so laser focused, and we've got to sure up energy leaks along the way. Oh, that chills through my whole body. And perhaps your higher self knows how risky that actually is in this situation to give yourself no out in Hollywood. Okay, there are some places where, cool, give yourself no out. There's discernment to understand where you might want to challenge yourself and go hardcore. And even in Hollywood, you might want to do that. However, it requires something of the human, and it changes your perspective, and it creates a certain experience that might not be of the highest and best for you and your soul in this lifetime. It doesn't create a lot of space for family and for anything outside of that, Hollywood in particular. Okay. So in terms, and okay, the guys are saying, and that would be the feminine or the intuitive aspect to understand, is that what if your higher self knows exactly what she's doing and she's protecting you along the way? And some of the challenges that I personally have experienced, because I was an actress too for 20 years, when it was time for me to leave Hollywood, dudes and dudettes, I knew it. I was so married to, in terms of that focus and nothing else to fall back on. When I was in Hollywood, I was just like, I remember my mother-in-law at the time asking me, because for 20 years, I continued to pound the pavement, as they say, so to speak, in Hollywood. And I remember my mother-in-law asking me, because I started having children too in Hollywood, and she asked me, like, how long are you going to do this? And I got so mad. Like, what do you mean? This is my life's work. I'm going to do this forever. I was so married, so focused, so committed. Now, when my life shifted and the timeline shifted, and I had this incredible experience that led me to the Akashic Records, there was such a shift in me. It was actually a way that I recognized I was in a new timeline. I thought, oh, that's weird. It used to be this or nothing, and now so much more is open to me. And I paid the price for that in a lot of ways. So if you are not experiencing what you have wanted or desired to create for yourself in this lifetime, first, look at the masculine aspects. Have I actually done all of the things and the right things, and to the degree that is required for me to achieve what it is that I want to achieve? Because anything that you want to create and experience is possible for you. There will be a payoff, however. That's where we're going to shift over into this intuitive side, the feminine side. You got to get really clear and deep and truthful and honest with yourself. Do you want that exchange? Do you want to pay that price? Are you willing to step into the courage it takes to see yourself differently, to change your identity when we're so married to something? Okay. All right. All things to consider as we are here creating. Let me see what the activation is that the guides want to bring in. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if this is resonating for you. And thank you so much, Carly, for sharing with us. Also, the guides are saying, remember, you can still do those things, act and perform in a way that lights you up the most, in a construct that actually works for you. And like the Hollywood construct, good God, there's a lot of soul stealing. And I guess I mean that literally and figuratively. I mean, you guys have probably heard or tapped into some of the crazy things that happen there. I didn't experience, I mean, the most twisted things that I experienced in Hollywood around that kind of manipulation were typical casting couch kind of things that you see. I was never lured into Scientology or invited into any like dark green circles like that. But I did have plenty of producers and directors invite me back to the Four Seasons, which I never went, by the way. Because one of my very first acting teachers said, you can only fuck your way to the middle. And I just, you know, wanted to be Angelina Jolie. All right, let's see what activation the guys want to bring in today. They want to work in the heart chakra. Opening, softening our hearts. The energy of Christed consciousness energy is coming through really powerfully, bringing the energy signature and illumination around compassion, 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 and how much compassion we need to have for ourselves right now as we are taking these honest assessments of our life. As we're being real with ourselves, have I taken the steps that I needed to take? If I didn't, why? Did I not know what the right steps were? Or was there something underneath that knew there was a higher timeline for me? All right. These are all excellent, wonderful questions too, by the way. And if any of you all are exploring these bigger concepts, of your soul and your purpose and your whys and why you do some things and why you don't do other things. This is a great use of the Akashic Records, learning to read your Akashic Records. And what I consider my area of genius and gifting is teaching others to do this. But when you learn to read your records and you read them, you will learn all of these things about yourself. And once you begin to see and understand your patterns at play, like I said, you can shift them. And you can mold them, and you can make different decisions that put you in a different timeline. Okay. Anthony says it's sad to say that a lot of people are caught in their own repetitive ways. Yes, and it can be happy too. Like, let's take the theory of opposites. It's not a theory. It's the 7 Hermetic principle, y'all. Okay. The principle of opposites. Yeah, it's sad to think that we are all caught in our negative repetitive patterns. But what the Hermetic principle of opposites tell us is that that's the shadow aspect, but everything can be dialed from shadow into its highest octave. So if we flip this, we can say how freaking cool and amazing and happy and joyful we can be when we understand how to program ourselves in positive repetitive ways. Like coming in here to this classroom. How many of you are first timers? Let me know if you're a first timer. And how many of you have been here before? Let me know it's not your first rodeo if you've been here before. All right, doing things like working in your Akashic Records and coming into this space, there's a compounding effect on your consciousness, on your energy field. You get more and more inspired. You hold more bandwidth that allows you to see things differently. And eventually you're going to get to a place where you break through. But this is part of creating really powerful repetition in your life. Everybody, we need communities, we need connection. Probably one of the biggest challenges that I hear in people that I work with is the loneliness that so many of us experience in our real lives, our 3D lives. So many of us, tell me if you agree, if you see yourself, starseed, way shower, you know that you're here to bring something, and you feel like you're more awake than everyone else around you. Like if we are noticing everyone else's negative, repetitive ways, we're probably a couple steps ahead of the game, ahead of them. And it can feel really frustrating and lonely to figure out how to help them. What we need is our own tribe. We need a tribe together where we can build each other up so that you can grow so that your light spreads in those places and raises the vibrational frequency of those around you that you feel like you can't connect with. It's part of our mission. Yeah, and if you're looking for tribe, come hang in Jedi Train. Actually, I left the link for everyone who's joining me on StreamYard. You can find the link to that self-study training at the top of our comments here. And if you're joining me on Instagram, You can find this on my link tree after the broadcast. Keep hanging out. All right. So we got a message here from Clayton Ox. How unbalanced are masculine and feminine energies in my field? And where should I focus on balancing it? Good question. Send some love likes hearts across the screen for Clayton, because this is going to allow us all to tap in to our masculine and feminine energy. Okay, let me tap in and see. Okay. All right. This is the guides are answering your question in a slightly different way. They want to speak to the very specific imbalance that is in the masculine, and then they also want to speak to the imbalance that's in your divine feminine, because we all have masculine and feminine within us. Okay, so the imbalance in the masculine energy, let me just put Clayton's question back up here, that I'm picking up on is coming from shame around trusting yourself to make good decisions. Okay, that's where the greatest imbalance and pain point and wounding in your masculine energy is. So that would be a place that you would want to look in and heal. Okay, if anybody is feeling like, ooh, something about that feels like me too, it will show, the pattern will be very similar for a lot of us, but the unique expression of it will show up differently in each one of our lives. All right, but just tap into your inner masculine there and see if there's any place where you feel ashamed of yourself and like you don't fully trust yourself to make good decisions. Because that will definitely, it will cause your masculine energy to shrivel up like you've been doing an ice bath or something, okay? Shout out to Wim Hof. Love that guy. All right, so that's the balance and the imbalance, excuse me, in the divine masculine. Let me tap into the divine feminine and see where the imbalance is there. It's a not being seen and heard, specifically around a disregard to our intuition or our subtle skills. I call them subtle. There are psychic skills, and for some of us, they're really, really strong. They're turning on and they're getting stronger and stronger. And if you're not experiencing that, you can be. The energies are available here to all of us right now. You just need to know how to harness that energy. All right. If you feel like your psychic senses are very dull and you want to turn them on, type intuitive development in the comments. If you're on StreamYard, do that, because I can circle back to you on StreamYard. My Instagrammers here, type it in. Go ahead and type it in. I'll be able to see you in this moment, and hopefully I'll be able to circle back with everybody. But the intuitive development, it's a free training that's available for you on the link tree as well. So you can find that on Linktree if you want to upgrade your psychic senses, intuitive senses. Okay. But going back to the wounding of the divine feminine, and I definitely think that this is collective, this is for all of us. We have suppressed ourselves in the area where we have subtle intuition or dreams or psychic senses, or knew something was going to happen, or had weird experiences where we saw through the veil as a kid and people didn't believe us, or we were crazy for saying that. That's what that expression looks like, the wounding of the divine feminine. Okay. Again, beautiful things to work on and shift and heal in the Akashic Records. Let's call it an activation right now, though, that will begin to bring that balance. And as you learn to hold more of this balance of masculine and feminine in your body, you will naturally want to do things that are better for you. Like we just start to feel a little more motivated about taking good care of ourselves and working out and wanting to meditate. Now, having the accountability to always do it is challenging, but you'll notice that desire to take care of yourself more and to do things that nourish your soul. That's a good sign. That means it's working. All right. To balance our masculine and feminine, slight pressure against the left and right palm, thumbs touching each other in the heart. And I just want you to take 3 nice deep breaths in. Okay. Balancing the masculine and feminine. Hello, Detroit Girl Friday. Breath in. Two more breaths. Balancing our masculine and feminine energies. Inviting our desire and motivation to nourish ourselves and to self-heal and take care of ourselves. That's like your masculine taking care of your feminine and your feminine taking care of your masculine. Okay, one more breath. Good job. You got this, my friends. Cool. Let's send some love, likes, hearts across the screen for Clayton if you got a little activation through that. Thank you for letting us all work here together today. All right. Lady Love says first time here. Any more questions? I'm looking through my chat box here, looking for questions. And we got 3 minutes and maybe a little bit more. Oh, wait. Okay. Here I see foreigner wellness. I would love to understand if I need to do the interview that I am being drawn to. Cool. Let's tap in. Okay, so the first thing that the guides want to talk about is the word need in all of our vocabulary. Anytime that you are using the word need, the guides are inviting us to see that we are potentially coming at things from a deficit. Because if I need something, that means that I don't have something right now, and that I'm looking at myself at a state of lack. So first of all, to notice how that might be a pattern and an indication of how you can see some of your own subconscious patterns, because sometimes we don't feel like we're actually in lack, or we don't feel like we're calling in lack or vibrating scarcity, or things pretty good in my life, Emily. I don't know that I resonate to that. Things about what we say reveal aspects of our subconscious that sometimes we've gotten numb to. Okay, so just notice when you use the word need, that could be an indication that there's lack of self-worth there, or feeling like you're worthy to fully receive because you're in a state of lack. Okay. Next thing that the guides want to speak to is the things that we're drawn to. Ooh, we gotta have the courage to follow that guidance, what draws us. Okay, that's our inner innate and knowing, a teacher, your higher self. Now, how many of you feel like that pull has bitten you in the butt a time or two? Like you got drawn into something, and from hindsight, you were like, dang, if I would have known, I wouldn't have got into that. That happens too. Let me explain to you why that happens. It's still very important for you to have that experience. It's a lesson that you need to learn, because your dense ass hasn't learned it yet. Okay. So how do we change our experience of learning? Because we still need to keep learning and growing. We do things that raise our vibrational frequency. Okay. Be in states of love, gratitude, joy, forgiveness. Be in a reflective state of self-knowledge. Seek self-knowledge. Meditate, do yoga, breath work, walk, be outside. These things raise our vibrational frequency and allow us better access to our higher mind, so that the universe doesn't have to slap us upside the head like a pork chop. Because if you're not paying attention and you need to learn a lesson, your intuition will draw you into an experience that smack you up the head like a pork chop. So perhaps you can finally get it. Now, if you create a regular routine and devotion to your own energetic vibrational frequency, everything about your learning process, your growth process, your discovery process, your creation process is lighter. It's funner. You'll laugh more. You'll be in awe more. But you have to do the things that raise us out of the density. Okay. One more thing the guides want to speak to in terms of what we're drawn to. really important that we do the things that raise our frequency and we follow what we're drawn to, because at that point, our joy will begin to lead us. And your joy is the ultimate navigation tool to get you out of a stuck timeline. It's also the ultimate navigation tool as we move into the 5D, or consecrating this new earth energy. The old paradigms are all breaking down. Everything's breaking down. I will not be surprised if you write me after this and say, Emily, my life is a mess. You just don't know how messy my life is. I'll be like, yes, I do. Everything is breaking down right now. And we have the opportunity to rebuild the new earth. It's what we're tasked with. It's our mission here on the planet. It looks different for each one of us. But the same generality is, hey, you're here to participate, self-initiate, be like, yep. I'm going to quote the Bible after all these F-bombs and other, well, I'm going to quote-ish the Bible. I can't remember how the exact passage in Isaiah goes. Something to the effect that I heard the call of God. I heard the voice of God. It's the voice of your higher self. It's the call. It's your mission. Who will we send? I am here, send me. The first thing is that self-initiated step of knowing that you're here for something bigger, even if you don't know what that is, accepting the call. And then as you go on that journey of revelation and find connection, mystique, and magic, it all begins to unravel for you. So if you are someone here and you're ready to take that journey, again, come join me in the Akashic Records training. It's what it's all about. I feel like there was one other thing that I wanted to share wrapping up. I am a few minutes over. I'm going to keep talking until I feel complete here. Let's see. Oh yeah, following the joy. Maybe I am complete. Let me tap in. Let's see. Tammy says, I've never been able to learn about my Akash and have been disconnected from connecting. My experience with that is only we can do that. I mean, we are complete sovereign beings and have ultimate control and authority over everything that we get to experience here in this lifetime. So even if you have had challenges or troubles and you feel like you want to learn this, I'm going to encourage you to give it a try. I wanted to say one other thing about that too. Oh, and here's some things that might need to be worked out for those of you who feel like you don't have access. Because our access levels have changed on this planet, and I want to speak to that quickly. Okay. The Akashic Records used to be located in for the sake of a modern day context and conversation, used to be located physically here on the planet in crystalline form in ways that we could access it physically. After the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria, this energy, because it's so powerful and intelligence from the Akashic Records was used for ego. And think about it, access to all the intelligence in the universe. This isn't just information about us, it's everything. And this information can be weaponized, and it was weaponized during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria, which is why it was physically removed from being so easily accessible. Now, we can never fully physically remove it from this planet because this planet is a library planet. It's a record keeper. The whole planet, the whole multidimensional crystal under Mount Shasta has the records in it, as well as a holographic representation of them and a reflection of everything, including you and your DNA. So you hold a copy of this as well. And if we have shut down access to it, it's because our soul likely misused it in a previous lifetime. Here's how we make sure that it's not weaponized in the modern day context. Well, let me tell you how I do it. I don't know how everybody else out there does it, but there is, when we are sharing esoteric knowledge that has been hidden and repressed, somewhat for our own safety, really. But when we're talking about really powerful information, like we're talking about here with the Akashic Records, there's a high level of initiation that one must go through to have the highest levels of access. So what it looks like in my training is you will go through an initiation process that ignites radical self-love. Because when you can know yourself and love yourself truly, that's when you're going to love other people. That's the Christic consciousness energy alive in you. And you will have an innate aspect of you that wants to use this information for the highest good of you and everyone connected to you. That's how we ensure that we don't weaponize it, is that we fall deeply in love with ourselves and we forgive ourselves and we heal ourselves of our past trauma. Okay? And there's also an aspect of once we clear enough of that density out of the way, we start vibrating so high, our extraordinary gifts and skills begin to come online. So that's the process that I absolutely love taking you all through. This has been a fantastic episode. I'm sending you all massive love and light over this Lionsgate. And I will be leading a retreat in Mount Shasta, an expedition into the sacred vortexes of Mount Shasta next week. So we'll make sure to get a really good, powerful rerun up in here for y'all. And then I will see you back very soon. All right. I love you guys.